get a hold of her. So welcome to week 1, PNR204, Pediatric Nursing. My name is Professor Bogart, and I have been teaching for Fortis since 2017. I taught in the RN program, and I'm the lead RN instructor, and I also teach in the PN program. My husband's mother, who's 90.
Sir,
Yes, Hawa.
I'm sorry, I have a question. I was in on Tuesday. I was in class on Tuesday. Should I stay with you today again? Or because I transferred from Tuesday to Friday?
Well, I'll check with what Professor Luminoso.
Yeah, I was there on Tuesday.
Okay, with Professor Luminoso, I can check to make sure that you did have attendance.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, we both teach differently. The
Yeah.
recording will be posted. So
Okay.
it's your choice. You want to stay or just check later on the recording? It's up to you because your
Okay.
attendance has been made with her.
Okay. I would
Okay?
yeah, I would go over the recording.
Okay. All
All
right.
right.
Not a
Thank
problem.
you. All right.
So I started teaching at Fortis in 2017, and what I started teaching on ground initially was the pharmacology, which said, "Dude, can you teach pharmacology?" And I went, "Oh, I guess I could fake it." Well, I learned pharmacology quick, and I learned how to do dosage calculations extremely quick, and how to teach them in a very simplistic, understandable way. I will be sending some recordings out with the recording tonight of your class, okay? So in pediatrics, I've been with the PN program now for over a year. I absolutely love teaching you all. I have been taught by the best PNs in the world, and they made me the best RN that I could be. They brought me up. So as a dear spot in my heart to all of those who made me who I am today. Now, I teach by giving you a PowerPoint. We'll go over it. I try to explain it in an understandable way. And then I'm going to do a Kahoots. The Kahoots is going to give you some teaching to try to understand what's going on. It's also that thing to give you somewhere to go study, to look at. These are going to be on exams and on quizzes. Be aware. It's something you should review. You also are going to get a weekly document from me. And that document goes over, fill it in. It's a word fill in sheet. It's all about what your quiz is going to be next Friday. Now, you will be tested on this week's information next Friday. And it's the first part of the class, and it's 15 minutes, and it is a 10 question. No dosage calc is on your quizzes. That's the other question people ask. So those of you are like, great, no dosage calc, you better make an appointment with me to go over dosage calc, so no questions on that exam will be taken away. There's 5 on every exam, dosage calc. I can have you do every question correctly. I've done it before to those who, oh, I don't do math, I don't understand it. I can make it very simple for you. So, whenever you need anything, whenever you don't understand, do not be afraid to stop me. Ask a question. I'm never offended. I'll just pick back where I started from. Now, I'm sure if you're asking a question, somebody else has the same question. So don't be afraid. If you need help, send me a message. You can always text message if you need something answered right away. My cell phone is listed in the announcements into the about your instructor, but it's also 305-951-8055. That's if you need something quick from me. If not, send me a message in Canvas or me email, and I actually answer emails fairly quickly, trying to get you what you need.
Can you repeat your phone number for me?
Sure, 305-951-8055.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Quintia, are you having a hard time with your internet getting your face on camera? Quintia, Miss Fields, can you chat? Thank you. You need to be on camera. I almost just removed you. And one of the things about online is that you are on camera and you are visible. Now, I'm going to ask you all a question. It is Friday night, and we could do this class in two ways. I can go right through and teach and get you out early, or I can give you a break in between the PowerPoint and the Kahoots. What would you want?
Early.
Okay.
Right through. Go right through.
Okay.
Right through.
It's not a problem. If you need to go to the ladies' room, if you need to get something to eat, I don't mind. All those things don't bother me. I understand. I know people are there with you. If you have to answer something to a child, etc., go ahead. But most of the time, just try to be visible and on camera so that I can see you. So you've
Let me
already
grab.
had.
I'm sorry, I'm gonna grab my stuff out the oven before I burn it.
Please do that. No burning allowed. Let's just start out with the PowerPoint, all about online. Are you all in community also? So have you all had an online class before? Okay, so these are
Yes.
all about the same. So I'm not going to go totally in depth. I'm going to show you those things that are very, very important. Okay. So one of the thing about online is making sure that you're plugged in, you have internet. If there's a problem, let me know before class starts that there might be a problem. Sometimes there's windstorms, snow blizzards. I had a tree fall on someone's lines earlier today. Just let me know. That's why I have a cell phone. I have, messages, email, or through Canvas. Just let me know what's going on, okay? For anything, I am your first person to contact. Now, if I'm not giving you what you need or not quick enough, the lead professor for PN nursing is Professor Stiles. You are encouraged, email her. She's usually online and she's really ready available also. And if she doesn't give you what you need, always go to Dean Brown. Now, I don't mind if you go to Dean Brown because you're not getting from me what you need, okay? Or I can't answer your question, or I couldn't answer it quick enough. I'm usually pretty quick, but there's always circumstances where you're not. So if you need to, go all the way up. Does not bother me. How do you get hold of Dr. Brown? Well, here is her information. It's darlene.brown@fortiscollege.edu, or there's her phone number. Leave a message. She gets back really quick. I mean, try with me first, not me. Go to Professor Stiles. If not, go to Dean Brown. When you communicate, just try to tell me exactly what you want. Always be professional and respectful, which is always important as being a nurse. Now, some of you still haven't done the discussion board this week. Go ahead, try to get it done before Sunday. Another thing about discussion boards is they say, some professors want you to put in the first initial by Wednesday, and then they don't let you respond to your peers at the same time. I don't mind if you do, and I'll tell you why. You've just done the answer to the discussion board. You are in that zone right now. This is what you've just, written about. So to go ahead and answer or respond to another student, it's more on your brain and it reinforces it. So I don't mind. Now, not all professors are like that. And I just wanted you to know because it's always been a question to me. One of the things is academic integrity. If you cheat yourself. And when you cheat, you take your HESI, you're not going to do well. You do your NCLEX, you're going to fail. And that's not why you're in school for. Now, we give you every tool you need to be successful. You've got all of these weekly handouts to help you with quizzes. You're going to have exam reviews, not just from me, from 2 other professors that you go to review, whether live or listening to the recordings. HESI, I've got a big HESI Q&A I do, and we have a big HESI Cahoots that I've made 2 of that will help you. And then besides that, I've taken your PN NCLEX book section on pediatrics and made it into a PowerPoint, which is understandable. And I do the review on week 10 in class. So you will have that going in to your HESI. So I give you every tool you need. So to cheat, you cheat yourself. Make sure you don't plagiarize. Do your own work. Don't use somebody else's. And it's always about nursing. You know, we are professionals, you know, and we should maintain those values. Now, there are some websites that are cheating websites, and Fortis knows about them. And there has been students removed from the program using them. So besides you're cheating yourself, the sometimes the information on these websites, they're inaccurate. And I don't want you learning wrong things. So if you have a question, you need extra help, you want help before an exam, ask me. I'll work my schedule around you or a group of you to make sure that you can do the best you can on exams, okay?
Betty,
Yes.
I am going to be rounding up another 13 students and sending them to you.
Okay.
They are sitting in a Zoom with no instructor.
Okay.
So be watching for them.
I sure will. Thank you, Dr. Brown.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're very welcome.
They will probably be joining your group for the rest of the term.
Okay, not a problem.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Hold on a second. Why? Remember that 90-year-old mother who just had that phone call?
If you thought it's our future.
She called because she was having some neuro symptoms in her face. She's going to the hospital. My husband just ran. So, okay, the rest of the class, I'll be here. I've got another car, I can go. So, late work policy. We want to turn in work on time, and that's Sunday, 11:59 Eastern, 2:59 Pacific time, and you will get full credit. Now, if you can't turn it in on time for whatever reason, what you're going to do is let me know. What happened? You know, you're in the hospital, you got sick, an emergency, out of town, something happened. What I stress highly, communicate with me. Let me know what's going on. I can work with you before something is due, before a quiz, before an exam. If you communicate, I can work. If you wait till after, I can't. All right, so just be aware of that. Now, if it is now the second week, you'll get a 10% deduction. And then on starting the third week, on that Monday, I cannot accept anything. It'll be a 0. There is no makeup after that. So please communicate with me and let me know what's going on with you so I can help you. Attendance is recorded by your Zoom and making sure, okay, so your faces are on. I don't want to see ceiling fans. Nobody driving, nobody passenger, no cars, no vehicles, okay? So very important. When you come in, you saw how particular I was. Make sure your names are as Fortis knows you. So I kept calling out, making sure. So most of you did that. I appreciate that. When you come to class, be on time. 1 minute late is 15 minutes off. Now, some people are coming in late today. That's going to be okay. It's not going to be marked down in attendance. It's explainable. So that's for today. You're not being marked down for whatever happened, okay? Also, make sure you don't leave early because I also look at that also. Now, there's been questions about turning assignments in early. What I want you to know about that is if you turn assignments in early, you may not have 2 points of contact in Canvas every week. And every week you must have 2 points of contact, discussion question, NCLEX question, CJ Sim something, and attendance in class. That shows that you are involved. If there's no posting for 14 days, you will be dropped from the course with no notification. So be aware of that, okay? Rebecca, can you come on camera, please? Miss Waller? Miss Waller, can you come on camera? Gotta be on camera to get attendance. Not on camera, you're not gonna get attendance. Rebecca, can you come on camera, please?
Same with Christian.
You got a Christian too?
Yep, Christian Jewett is also needs to come on
Okay.
camera.
Can you both come on camera, please? Or I will remove you from the class. It's the
Sorry, I thought
last
I was
thing.
on. I'm on
Okay.
now.
Thank you, Kristen. I don't want to remove anybody, and I will try my hardest to get you on. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, thank you so much. So remember, don't go and post advanced stuff because if you don't have points of contact, you can be dropped, okay? So be aware of that. There is no makeup for missed attendance. Now, if you're sick in the hospital, you had to take your mother to the hospital, anything, what I want you to do is give me documentation, written documentation why you're not there. Or there was a sleet storm, internet went out, a tree fell on the tree, there was a power outage, I couldn't get on. Please give me written documentation, and that could be a attendance that we can say, all right, there was a reason, you just didn't miss. And notify me before class, if at all possible.
Grace, please turn your camera on.
Oh, sorry.
Excuse me, I have a question. Is this the class that we're supposed to be in? Because we were supposed to be with Professor Lumo something.
You're going to be here now. You're going to be
Okay.
combined into
Okay,
this.
so we're not going to get in trouble for sitting in
No,
that
no,
other room.
no. You're not going to.
Okay.
You're not going to be in
No.
trouble.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no.
Your attendance, you're fine. Don't worry about it. I've just started the beginning of the orientation thing. It's going to be recorded. You missed only a couple minutes in the beginning, so don't be aware, but don't be worried about that. Okay.
So please can you please put the passcode and the correct one so I can use it for next week?
You're gonna have it. I will send out my initial. Furthermore, it's in the instructor. Welcome to the instructor, my name, my cell phone, my
Okay.
Zoom number, everything, but I'll redo it again too.
All right, thank you.
And Clara, are you, I have to go back and look, Clara. I thought at one point I had you down for a transfer. Was it the other
Yes.
class? Oh,
Yes, it's for the other class.
Okay,
Yeah.
but the section, for those of you that were in the other section with Professor Luminoso, that
Yes.
section is going to be canceled.
Okay.
So all of you will be moved over to this section.
Okay.
So do not turn in any homework. Okay, because you'll have to redo it.
So for this week, I already turned in my homework.
It's okay.
The discussions, yeah.
Okay, the discussion questions are pass fail. Professor Bogart will give you an excused on those. Okay.
Okay.
But for like NCLEX questions or things like that, do not turn them in until you have access to the new course shell. Okay.
All right, thank you.
You're gonna have to do those initial quizzes again also.
Okay.
Those
Thank
simple
you.
little ones. Okay, not a problem. Grace, you don't have your last name and your Zoom, and this is attendance, so put it there, or I can put it there when I'm done with this PowerPoint. Okay, very important that we have your correct name in the Zoom to get proper attendance. Now, attendance. Sometimes things happen. Sometimes, you're late to class or had to leave early or you were sick, et cetera, et cetera. As you start missing attendance, you will be receiving notification at 5%, 10%, 15%. When you hit 20%, and I have absolutely no written documentation to give Dr. Brown, you will get one full letter grade deduction, and it could fail you. So if you're going to be absent, if there's an excuse, like I've said, whether it's the power, whether it's medical, whether there's a death in the family's happened, anything, let me know, give me documentation. It can help justify those things. So how are you successful? Well, every week I send you an announcement, and next week you're going to see week 2 information. And on that information is going to be the chapters that you're covering. It's going to be a PowerPoint, any handouts that I'm going to give you, and what assignments are due. Okay, so you'll always have it. Usually you'll have that by Sunday at the latest from me. So you can go and you can look. When you're doing anything, for instance, your NCLEX questions, that first set of NCLEX questions is not under pediatrics. It's growth and development. Make sure you read the information in the modules so that you're doing the correct thing. Now, if you go ahead and just do pediatrics and choose what you want, I'm going to notice that by the way it was handed in, and I'll give you a 0. Now, does not mean that 0 will stand. What it means is go back and look at the comments in that NCLEX, and I will show you what the problem was. Was it the way you turned it in, or was it inaccurate? You didn't pick the right subject areas, okay? That usually is the way that you'll see it. When I put that 0, I know that you go, ooh, something's wrong. Let me figure it out, all right? Again, I will work with you. It is a learning experience. And if we don't get it right the first time, we'll meet on Zoom and we'll get it so you will be correct all the other times. Make sure that you look at those directions when they're going to be done, right? Discussion boards. There are 2 this week. You have the individual and then you have the week 1. Make sure that they're both done. Now, some professors like you to wait to do a discussion response to peers. And I have a different train of thought. Remember, we're all different. Put down your discussion, what it's all about. Now, you're in the zone. You've just done research. You've looked at it. You know what the subject is. You can look at peer responses and be more aware of what you want to respond to them. And I think it makes it more meaningful. I mean, that's the way I think about it. So I've had students say, do I have to wait or can I do them right away? I'm telling you, you can do them right away, okay? You will get little notices. You haven't turned in your CJ Sims yet. You haven't turned in NCLEX yet. You haven't turned discussion board in yet. These are just all helpful reminders to keep you successful. Those quizzes, make sure you do those handouts. That week 1 handout, go through them, fill in the blanks, open your books, fill them out, and you'll all get 10s on 100s on all of them. Make sure you check the Canvas frequently, okay? I do not send a lot of announcements. This week is probably the most you'll see from me. I don't believe that you're going to read 10 announcements a week and understand and pay attention to them. But if I only send the information, recording, and then maybe it's something you really need to know, you'll read it and it'll be more meaningful. I don't believe you need that. If it's something I need to tell someone personally, I'll send you a message. And I'm really good at doing that. Remember, make sure you turn your information in on time. And if you can't, let me know. Again, keeping that open conversation with me is the best that you can do, okay? So in Canvas, go in, do all of the welcomes. I'm sorry, those who are switching courses going to have to do it again.
I have a question.
Sure.
I was not sure about which quizzes we were talking about. We should hand them in.
Quizzes are given throughout the course. First quiz
Okay.
is going to be next Friday. It's going to be given at the beginning of the class. It is 10 questions, and you have 15 minutes. And how do you study from all of those chapters? Do the week 1 handout, and that's going to help you. Okay? We spent a lot of time making them up. They're there for you. You can do very good at this course if you listen to me. All the information is there. Come to class, try to be prepared, read ahead, see what's going on. You know, students that do that come class have such great questions for me, and it makes you think a little bit more. Because as I teach, I don't read a PowerPoint. I don't believe in that. The information is there, and I'm just going to talk off my head and give you examples. I'm going to make it understandable that you can relate to it. I don't think big words, big biological names are going to help, are they? It's making it simple, 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 you know? And the reason why I do that is I have a daughter she's 39 now, but for her entire life, she has asked me questions every single day. And if I didn't answer it precisely, simply, she would ask me the same question over and over again. So I learned how to explain it simply in a manner she understood the first time, or else I wouldn't stop. That girl, to this day, 100 questions a day. So you have her to thank for that. Any problems with any of your things, you know, technical support. If you can't get into stuff, technical support. You know, send in a help desk ticket. And it's on your homepage. Just go to the help desk ticket there. Now, I don't do what we call weekly type of scheduled type of sessions. What I do is you need me, send a message, we meet when you're available, and we'll go over the concepts that you have to understand more about. Okay? Whether it's in math, maybe it's in growth and development, maybe it's about the theorists, whatever. I'll help you that way. Because I know that many students can't be at the same time, same day, and not getting as that weekly tutor. So I just open it up and say, you tell me when you're available, I'll help you. And I know students who come to me before exams do so much better. Before HESIs do so much better. So if you are struggling or if you just want to do really good, you know, contact me. I'm going to work with you. KGA or your objective homeworks are your exams, quizzes, and your HESI. You can see CJ Sims is worth a bucket of points. Look at that, 10%. Each one is 5%. Do not miss a CJ Sims. Okay, that is a lot. NCLEX questions, all 4 of them are 5%. Look at CJ Sims. Now, another thing about CJ Sims, don't just get answers and fill them in. That's easy to do. What I want you to do is really do the evolving case study. Look it up, words you don't know, medications you don't know. It'll make you think better and you'll be ready for HESI, ready for your NCLEX, okay? It is a learning experience for you, all right? I do have other case studies if people want to come to me and work with them with one or a group of people, whatever you want. I'll work with you to understand that evolving case study type stuff. I will turn on the homework grades on week 6. You're going to see how they affect your grade, whether better or not as good, right? On week 8, I turn them off and it will not be turned on till after HESI remediation and it's your final grade, okay? But I want to show you how homeworks can affect your grade. You know you need a 78 in order to get your KGA, and make sure your homework is done because your homework can affect your grade also. Now you need 2 devices. You need for your exam, you need your phones and your laptops. Make sure they're charged. I can't tell you how many students go, oh my God, my phone went dead or my computer went dead and oh, I don't have the charger. I'm just telling you now, make sure it's part of stuff you bring to class, okay? Again, during exams especially, sometimes your phone, goes to a call and your name turns off and you don't come back. You are not monitored. You're not in an area where I'm seeing you during an exam. It could make me get to the point where you get a 0. Now, I'm going to do everything I can to try to get you back on camera so you don't get a 0. But remember, you have to be on camera so I can see you in exams and quizzes, okay? So quizzes are you do one and you can't go back. It's like you do number 1, you do number 2, and you go down to number 10. Again, it must be proctored. You can't just do these on your own. You must be on camera with me. Quizzes can't be made up at all. That is the new thing that is part of the handbook that came out. Exams, if you all haven't done ExamSoft or hasn't been a while, I'll send a practice exam if you want, just let me know. And on exams, sometimes things happen, computers shut off, or the screen goes black, or you forgot your charger, right? And you have no charger. Well, what I want you to do first is let me know. Remember that nothing happens to that exam. It's always going to be there, and I can restart it at the place where you left off. So it's not like it ever gets lost for you, okay? So, because students go, oh my God, I'm off camera. Oh, I can't get on. Text me, send me a message right away, gives me timestamp, and then I can work and get another time for you to get to finish that exam, okay? Exams are only one attempt. Anybody who has accommodations, I need to know ASAP. I need the letter from Dr. Foster, okay? And I should have that before next Friday because it does depend on your quizzes too. So please give me that information. I'll have it and I will forward it also to Dr. Brown to make sure that your exams and your HESI also has that extra time on it, especially if it's something that's new. Make sure if you're going to be testing on campus, you need to tell me you're testing on campus, and the person who's going to proctor you, they need to contact me. I don't contact them. And then they will get the access code to be able to get you into the exam. And I need to know 3 days before the exam. Okay? All Zooms, we know that all exams are proctored, just like quizzes. With exams, we do a little bit more. We'll do a 360 environment. We'll look at your ears. No hats on your head, okay? That's one thing. Earplugs, only those little noise reduction ones. Nothing else can be in your ears. Of course, no Apple, watches on. There are some students that have headgear that can't be removed, and we do have actually excuses for them. I had one girl who had brain surgery and wore a hat on her head, and she had the surgeon write it. Must wear a hat. So these are things we will do everything, whatever you need, we'll try to take care of it for you. Now, if you're going to miss an exam, you need to tell me before it's missed. If you tell me after it's missed, it'll be a minus 10% in order to get the exam done. And you must get it done before the next class. So if you miss, let's say today's an exam, you need to have it done by next Friday. So working with me, making a time and getting it in. Sometimes things are going on in your life. And let's say you want to take an exam early because it's your sister's wedding and it's out of country. And can I take the exam on Tuesday or earlier in the day? I'll work with you. Again, communicate with me. I can help with you. Now, if you don't take the exam, you don't tell me, it's minus 10%. If you don't get it done before 7 days, it will be a 0. I will remind you multiple times about that. So exams and quizzes, we go exactly through the modules. Go to quiz one, click on it, and it'll come up. You get your grades right away. You're the Friday class, so actually I can go over the answers. Usually students in this class, I've been doing this 6 to 8:30 class for quite a while now, and it is the last class of the day and of the week. So usually students will stay after class and we'll go over the quiz and what the answers were. It's a good thing to do. Again, having any problems, stop, just let me know. I can work with you. If I don't know, I can't help you. HESI's benchmark is 900. As I said, I've got a lot of HESI good information for you. This remediation grid will be in an announcement closer to the HESI times that you do know. We know most of you are going, in fact, all of you are going to be on ground for it. They try to put it on class time, but being a Friday late night at class, sometimes they put it earlier in the week. So make sure you are aware, and that's the campus who makes the time for it, okay? I don't proctor it, I just get your grades, I monitor your remediation, okay? Again, how many times you want me to say, talk to me, let me know what's going on, right? Homework assignments, I'll let you know what's going on and make sure that you keep yourself organized. I mean, I like to write everything out on a calendar like that. I've had one, but today, I mean, it might be, it's in your phones, all your assignments when they're due, and you have, things to remind you. But remember, the syllabus is where everything comes from. The dates from the syllabus. So when is it due? Look at the syllabus. Again, you want your stuff turned in on time or it's minus 10% on the second week. And after that, it will be a 0. And NCLEX questions, make sure that you do print the results, put it in a PDF, save it, and send it to me. If you don't do it correctly, submission, or it's the wrong questions, again, I'll put a 0 and I'll send you instructions. At a minimum, get 78 on your NCLEX questions because it can negatively affect your grade if it doesn't. But it also can make your grade go higher. And you can do them over and over again until you get the grade that you want. So I would want to get the best grade I could. Plus, NCLEX questions you're learning. And if you don't know, read the rationales and it can help you with that learning, okay? There is an PN practice and assignment exams. They are an evolved case study product. It must be done through Canvas, through the modules. The score will automatically go into your grade books. If it doesn't, let me know. I have a way of looking them up, making sure that you're getting those grades that you should. As I said, CJ Sims, make sure you just don't fill in the answers. I know answers are out there. If you do that, you are cheating yourselves. Make sure you know what the CJ Sims are doing, how it's evolving, why you're doing what you're doing, okay? In your discussion questions, make sure that you use APA, all right? APA is put some references at the bottom. Also, try to cite in the body of the paragraphs. I'll be writing little comments next to your grades. If you don't get a perfect 20, go back, look at the comment. It's going to tell you what went on. Also, when you're done with the question, I go back. Even if it's a 20, you should go look. I put comments about the subject, that concept. I'll put a little comment about it, which is a little more information to try to help you. When we think about, online teaching, a lot of it has to do with how do we treat our charge nurses, our physicians. It's that open, the communication, that professionalism, and all of these things are basically talking about that. Now, this is that one student who last quarter told her professor she got an 1145 on her HESI because the CJ Sims. and how she reviewed it and how she used her NCLEX questions. And I think it was so to the point that I wanted to share that with y'all, and maybe I can have somebody else get another 1145. Now, 1145 is a 99.99. Now, I have had students going into their HESI with 76 averages and get 99.99. And why? It's because they did exactly what I told them to do in preparation for HESIs. You've got some great HESI prep out there, and I'm the one who made a lot of it, so I know it's pretty good. Any questions? So welcome to the other class that joined me. I'm sorry you're a couple minutes late. You're not late. I'm not going to put that in the attendance, no way. I just started out with things like talking about who I am. You can go to the recording and see the very beginning. Grace, what is your last name so I can put your last name in?
Sorry, I forgot. So Mateso.
There you go. And the reason why I'm so particular on this is for attendance. Believe it or not, this attendance is something from the Zoom log that they keep on file. And a lot of accreditation bodies come and check the attendance to these Zoom logs, and they're looking for the names. Michelle, you went off a camera. Are you talking on the phone? Or something happened to your camera? Miss Michelle Edmonds. Did that scare y'all when Dr. Brown came on camera? The ones that were here already? She's nothing to be scared of. She's a very good woman. Michelle Edmonds, are you there?
I think she went to the bathroom.
Okay. I'll come back and check her. All right, let's do this week's information. Again, I posted this in your initial announcement. Again, I'm going to post it when I put the recordings on later tonight. So it's
She said her computer acting up. I'm sorry.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. See, that's teamwork, working together, and I love that. What is nursing? We're teamwork, aren't we? All right. Chapters 15, there'll always be objectives, and it's, looking at different things. And we're going to be talking all about children of all different ages. Now, the one thing I want you to think of, you don't have kids anymore. Don't relate this to your children. Children, we're looking at the book knowledge, and children do things all differently. There are children walking at 8 months, and there's children that start walking at 13 months. They're both normal, but I don't want you to make mistakes by growth and development, especially when you have some of you 5, 6 children, and they're like, oh, but that growth and development was so hard. So I'm warning you in the beginning. Just learn and don't try to say, well, he did that and she did that, because it doesn't most of the time work. Children and adults, they're the same and different, right? Child is not a little adult. They're this special person. And adults are grown children. But children are growing. All they're doing is they start out at 7 pounds at birth, let's say. By 1 year, they're 21 pounds. They triple their birth weight. 6 months, they're doubling it. And they just continuously growing. They can't lift their head at birth. And then now they can lift their head. They can turn over from their bellies to their back, the back to the bellies. They can creep, they can crawl, they can walk. It's like so quick what they're going to be doing. And they'll do something and then all of a sudden they'll stop. And that's what a plateau is. They grow and they stop. And what I say is, oop, they're starting to look pudgy. They're plateauing. They're ready to squirt up again and grow. And it's so obvious when we look at them. You can, what do we do every time we see a child, whether urgent care, ER, or physician office? We do a height and a weight. Why do we do a height and a weight? Well, are they eating enough? Are they getting enough nutrition? Or is there some sort of metabolic condition, growth hormones, thyroids, adrenals? Is there some other thing that's creating them not gaining weight or getting tall? Very important that we monitor that because sometimes it's all we'll see. If the kid is child born at 7 pounds and at 6 months and they only weigh 10 pounds, we caught it right away. Ooh, not enough nutrition. Why? Are they refluxing? Or is it food intolerance? Or is it they're not getting enough food? Or do we need to increase the calories in the food that we're giving that child? So a lot of adjustment can be made. So growth is one of the biggest things that we look at. You know, everything doesn't mature at the same time. I mean, you talk about kidneys and intestines. I mean, we don't feed children regular food till 6 months. Their tummies aren't ready for it. Their digestive tract is way too immature. So let's look at these things that start happen from ages 1 to 5. So we have done all the things as an infant. So we've lifted our head, we've turned from tummy to back, back to tummy. We've gotten up on our knees, we're crawling. Now we're sitting up straight, unsupported at 8 months. Now we're standing up and we're creeping around the couch, right? Walking. And then by 12 months, attempting or are already walking. That is what we call, you know, those gross motor developments. Now, at 1 year old, as I said, they should be able to attempt to take steps. They put their hand up and they try really hard, right? They can use their pincer fingers. Now, there's also something called fine motor skills, where children initially don't have know what to do with their hands. Nobody taught them. All of a sudden, they've got these things, and what do I do with them? Well, the first thing they do is mom puts their finger in their hand, and they, by reflex, do a reflex palmar grasp. Palm of the hand. It's a reflex. As they get older, they go, oh, I like that. Or, oh, let me take that rattle. I like that. And they go, oh, okay. So that is now voluntary palmar grasp. Then it goes into kids older, sitting in a high chair, and you put those puffs and they want to eat them. And they sort of smush it with their fingers in their mouth, right? Then all of a sudden they're taking their finger, thumb and forefinger, and that's called a fine pincer grasp. And then it goes up to putting blocks in a container, and then it's building blocks of 2. That is all the fingers, fine motor stuff that happens in the first year. So this child can't do that pincer, and it can, here, you want that, take it. They can say mama, dada, maybe milk, maybe what their favorite word is. Maybe it's the dog's name or their brother's name, right? They should start to be able to play simple games like rolling a ball between you, little things. 15 months, now they're walking alone. They're starting to crawl up the stairs. I didn't say down, they're crawling up the stairs, right? They can now make towers of 3 cubes. They're not at 2 anymore, all right? They're up to 3 or more, because remember, this is just the basics that we're talking about. They can take crayons and make lines. They can put stuff in the bottle. It's a smaller opening. They can do it. They're starting to be able to talk a little bit. They're following simple commands by 15 months. Put the shoe by the front door. Or here, take that and put it in the laundry. Put it in the garbage. They're little things. They're starting to be able to figure things out there. Also, they are also being able to show the caregiver what they want. They can show them they want the blanket, or they can, grab it if they want it. They're being able to. They're also, showing love to their caregiver. 18 months, they're running stiffly. They're still a little bit awkward, okay? They're sitting in a chair, they're walking upstairs now. You just have to hold a hand. Before they were crawling, right? So you can see they're doing more and more and more. the tower of cubes are 4 or more. Now they're scribbling, and now they're putting things in and out of bottles. 10 words now at 18 months. They can say cat, dog, right? They can look at pictures. They're starting to know. Ears, nose, mouth. This starts that. And they start to feed themselves. Now, it may be upside down on a backwards spoon, but it's the attempt to put food in their mouth. Okay? They say they don't completely know how to feed themselves till 2. They can use that spoon more accurately. Okay? 2 years old, they're running better, walking up and down stairs like it's nothing, one step at a time. They're opening doors, so you better have safety latches where you need them now, right? They're climbing on furniture. Now they become the wonderful toddlers. I call them the dive bomb kids. They're jumping on furniture. They're jumping from this furniture over to the other furniture. They don't know if they can make it, but they're the dive bomb kids. They're all those unintentional injuries are going to be occurring at this point. A 2-year-old, they're into everything. They're into every exploration. They're making 6, 7 type of cubes in a row. They're doing all different sorts of scribbling, making circles now. They're being able to fold papers. They're putting words, sentences, small sentence. I want milk. I want mommy. I mean, these things are going on. And now they've got the handle to that spoon, like I said. So, growth and development and nursing care. I mean, why do we need to know this stuff? Well, I've been working the last 10 years of my career. I was working in an extremely busy trauma center in the emergency room. And you have to know how to approach a child in order to be able to take care of them. And you need to know it on their developmental level. You can't just walk into a 1-year-old and say, okay, I'm your nurse. Come here, let me take your temperature. Guess what? Ain't going to happen. Or here, let me listen to your lungs. It's not going to happen. So there is a lot of things that have to be done in order to get there. You have to know what they like, don't like, and you need to know how to speak with these children. These children and the way that we treat them, they act, there are a lot of similarities with adult medicine, but children are different. I'll give you an example. In an illness, a kid gets sick, and they have a fever. They sit in a corner, they don't want to eat, they don't want to drink, and they want to sleep. An adult, they have a fever. They're going to be eating and drinking, and it's not going to affect them as much as it would a child. Adults tend to not pay attention to it. In fact, we see a child who's in a corner or just sitting there looking tired. These kids are not eating and drinking. That's going to be the problem, because we need with fevers to get that fluid in there, right? We need to replace that fluid that's being burnt off and keeping nutrition in these children. We do heights and weights, like I said. We're going to be looking. Are they lifting their head? Are they turning over? Are they walking? Are they using their hands? All of these things is something that we look at. We can look at the child. We can ask the parents. All of these things. What if you have a parent who has a child who has, let's say, an ear infections? Do they know how to take care of that child? And these are things that's going to be part of nursing and your nursing diagnoses. Planning. Now, if we're planning a child, let's say a teaching plan, how do we teach a family? Well, again, what sort of family is it? And there's a lot of culture in there and a lot of, what will they understand? What do they have available to them? And again, when we're teaching a parent about how to take care of a child, again, it's making sure that that parent knows to explain it in a manner the child understands. I mean, just like I did with my daughter, I had to explain it simply, or I'd have to explain it again. And that's frustrating to have to over and over, right? So interventions, you know, that foster growth and development is always age-appropriate self-care. You know, if a toddler wants to dress themselves and their shirt's inside out, let them do it. You know, these are things you want to foster self-care. They want to feed themselves. The food's upside down and backwards. Who cares? Let them feed themselves as long as they're not hurting themselves, right? And parents, one of the things like changes in behavior, eating habits, you know, when you're an infant up to age, you know, 12, 14, 15 months, usually these children are eating a lot, drinking a lot of milk and eating. Oh, my baby's got a good appetite. And then all of a sudden, they go into this barely eating. I call it the physiologic anorexia of the toddler. They stop eating and they become picky eaters. And this is just part of it. But this child's not growing as fast as that infant was, so it's okay. And everything you do for any intervention, you need to evaluate whether the parents understand or whether the child's growth and development's where it should, you know, and are they doing what they're supposed to do? So the nursing process. So development, what is that? Well, it's how the body starts working more for itself. As in, first 6 months, you can't have anything but breast milk or iron fortified formula, mostly. By 6 months, the intestines is ready to start getting foods in there. That's an increase in the body function, all right? Cephalocaudal development. Well, cephalic is a head, right? And caudals the feet. So it is about that head raising and it's about that turning over, creeping, crawling, walking. Okay, that's cephalocaudal. Proximal distal is initially they know everything here and they don't see what's around them. Then they start reaching out around. That's proximal distal. Growth is getting taller, gaining weight. And then maturation, it is the way that they are maturing. It's the way they grow and develop. Now, remember, the family is the people who are involved in the way they're developing. If the family spends time with them, getting them walking, creeping, you know, feeding themselves, that is what they say by dictated by inheritance, that somebody has, you know, spent the time with the child so that they're growing and developing maybe faster than another child. So children who are in good health tend to follow a consistent a pattern of growth, right? If you're in good health, that means you're eating right. You should be growing the way that you should. And we know that there's children and adults. We have short, tall, fat, skinny, freckles, none. Everybody's different. And there's at any ages, there's going to be difference. And boys and girls are both going to be on a separate chart because they grow a little bit differently. Now, the developmental screening called Denver Developmental Screening. This is not an intelligent test. All it means is that the child needs further evaluation, okay? So it goes, assesses the developmental status, the personal, social, fine motor, language, and gross motor, and it says it needs further evaluation, whether speech therapy, occupational, physical therapy, okay? That's a thing you're gonna see again, and many students think it's intelligence. It has nothing to do with intelligence. So let's go on for, you know, our next chapter.
I'm so sorry, but can you please slow down a little bit? I can't, like, I'm not writing anything down. I'm trying.
Okay, sure, absolutely. I'll try. I talk fastly. I told you that.
Who is it?
It's okay.
Come here.
So things that influence a child. So
Bro, you got my shirt on, bro?
hold on. So things that do are closely related and depend on that you need for growth and development. Now, as I said, you know, your environment is the big thing that is going to affect growth and development on your children, all right? We know it's hereditary. If you're short, well, guess what? If your parents are short, you're going to be short. Your nationality and race could be, you know, even your physical features. Where you are in the family, are you a middle child, a first child, or the fifth child, makes a big difference on your growth and development. And gender, boy or girl, it does make a difference in the way growth and development does occur.
Excuse me, I have a question.
Sure.
Are these PowerPoints going to be available on the modules?
These are in your announcements.
Okay, thank you.
Now, if you're just coming to me, I am going to repost them when I post the recordings when I'm done tonight. You'll have the PowerPoints, you'll have the handouts, you'll have the Kahoots that I'm going to do, you'll have everything. Okay? So types of families, there's all types of families, aren't they? You know, we have one that, like my parents, they married and they had 7 children and they were married 60 years, right? And then, of course, and that's your nuclear. Then you have your extended family, single, foster, dual, blended. It's, you know, 2 mothers, 2 fathers, only a father, only a mother, only a grandmother, grandparents, foster children. There's how many families are there? I mean, we all could probably say, and all of us could have a different which type of family we are. Now, how do you assess if a family is functioning? Well, you've got to look at the way that you have it. Let's say you have a child that comes in and they need special needs. How does that family grasp that concept? Do they reach out for help? Do they use the resources that we try to give, you know, in partnership with them? How is a kid growing? Is the kid at normal height and weight? And then you can always see how a parent, whether it's that grandparent who has them or the mother, the father, how they are, you know, the affection that you see. You'll see sometimes I've walked into rooms and, you know, that child's just sitting on mommy's lap and mommy's just hugging them or daddy. And then you have sometimes they're sitting on a stretcher and mom's not just paying attention. So there's all these things. And that resolve is, you know, all right, they're like, she's not going to take care of me, so all right, whatever happens, happens. That's a resolve, okay? When we look at the family and what they're like and the way they function, then we can adapt their healthcare needs to that. We'll know how to give them information. Whether do we need to have written information? If it's a doctor's office, do we need to see them earlier than another child? Many different things can be done here. Now, the first exam has a lot of theorist information. I believe it's 8 questions I saw on it. Erickson is one of the ones that they use quite a lot. Now, I am going to be sending you several things on theorists. I'm going to send you a handout. I'm going to send you a PowerPoint, and I'm going to send you separate YouTube videos on Freud, Erickson, Kohlberg, Piaget, so that you can look at them to try to understand. Now, I also try to explain it to you so that you do get it, all right? Now, tasks must be mastered at each stage to achieve optimum maturity. Now, an infant, and we go by levels of child. There's an infant, and there's a toddler, preschool, school age, and adolescence. Those are the groups of children, and you'll be hearing me talking on them. Now, Erickson, he says about an infant, it's what we call trust versus mistrust. Well, what is trust for an infant? When an infant cries, what does that infant expect? He wants mommy, right? What if mommy doesn't come or takes too long? They're crying because they're hungry, they're gassy, they're dirty, or they want mommy, right? So mommy goes right away,
Or they
picks
can
them
probably
up.
be in pain too, right?
What?
Or they can probably be in pain too, right?
Oh, anything, absolutely crying, absolutely can be in pain. Absolutely, Christian. Very good, yeah. But they're calling, Mommy, come, help me, help me. And when mommy gets there, guess what? That's called trust. I trust when I cry, my needs are going to be met. And that's going to be a happier, healthier child, infant. They will be. Now, it's trust versus mistrust. So, what is an infant that has mistrust? That's the infant. Nobody comes right away and picks them up when they're crying. It could be due to many reasons. It could be the home environment, could be drugs involved, alcohol, could be multiple births and you just can't get to one of the kids in time. That could happen realistically. If you had triplets and it was you home, what are you going to do, right? So, trust versus mistrust. That is an infant. So that's what I'm saying, things that kids do. Once they have trust and it goes on into the toddlers, and toddlers are all about themselves, the autonomous me. And I'm going to go into some of the levels too. So children, if the parents understand what the children's thinking and what helps them the most, it helps them to be a better parent, doesn't it? So 8 stages. And I'm going to send you things more on it and we'll talk more about them. Now, Piaget is all about thinking and cognition, okay? So, what is something that would be and it starts with building blocks. It starts with simplistic and then it gets more complicated. So, what does an infant know first? Well, he took his hand finally and did a voluntary grasp on a rattle. And then all of a sudden the rattle moved and it made a noise. Ooh, I like that. Now the infant moves the rattle. Well, then all of a sudden it just slips into the mouth. Ooh, I like that too. That is teaching him sensorimotor skills. Because what do infants do? Orally is where they self-soothe, they explore the world through the mouth. Everything you can calm a child, through oral satisfaction, whether it's a pacifier, breastfeeding, a bottle, anything in the mouth, it really does help them. And as it gets more pre-operational, they're sitting in a high chair, let's say, and he hit his sippy cup and it slammed on the floor. And mommy came over, or daddy, picked it up and put it back on the table. And he goes, "Here you are, buddy." Well, now he knows if he knocks off that sippy cup, mommy or daddy's going to come back, right? So now he's learned, let me hit it off when I want mommy or daddy. Do you see that? This is thinking, understanding, using what they've seen, and that's concrete. Concrete is cement. It's what you know, you see, you touch, you feel, you've been through before. If they've seen it before, they understand it. And then I think the one most sophisticated is formal. Formal operations is your adolescence. An adolescent can talk their way out of a paper bag, as I call it. Mommy said, "You're not going to the movies on Friday because you did da 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 da." Well, Monday through Friday, he made his bed, he got an A on his test, he did the dishes, took out the garbage, did all of this stuff because he wanted to make mommy happy to change his mind on Friday, right? I mean, adolescents are brilliant that way. That is not knowing what to do, but trying a lot of everything to make it work. That's formal operations, okay? So again, this is using your environment and getting what you want from it. Piaget. This is a YouTube video that you can go through, okay? It's what I had just said about it. Kohlberg. Now, Kohlberg is all about right and wrong, and there's a consequence for either. As simple as that. Now, the younger children, toddlers, they know right and wrong, what they can do and can't do. They'll keep trying it. Preschoolers, well, I know it. I know I'm going to get in trouble. Are they still going to do it if they really want it? And school age, they don't want to do a bad thing because they do not want to get punished. They want to please, they're pleasers. And that's what Kohlberg is. It's all about right and wrong. And as they get into even adolescence, society has rules that you have to follow, and you've got to do them, whether it's not smoking cigarettes in restaurants, whether it is you have to wear clothes outside, right? Or you have to do this, that to be, part of society. Well, that is up to the adolescent style. Again, you have another video. You can go through and sit very closely and watch it, but it said exactly what I just said very simply. So, parent teaching, one of the things that keeps many nurses from going into pediatrics is because you have to deal with parents. And sometimes parents are difficult. Now, I was a nurse who got all the difficult parents, and I could work with them because they're parents, they're frustrated, their kid's sick. They want to know how to take care of their child. So I teach them. And in the end, these difficult parents became my right and left arm watching that child when I couldn't be in that room. Because you can't be in one room. You might have 6, 8 children to take care of, right? You might have 4, but there is always more than one. So these parents, you need to let them know what to look out for about children, the way that they act. Sometimes you got to tell them or help them, guide them how to teach their child things as they get to be adolescents and talking about sexuality. I mean, these are things that nurses can talk to parents with and also help them. Parents think, someone want to be perfect all the time, and it's not always perfect. It just has to be being the best you can be, right? Nutrition, some families are not into that breakfast, lunch, and dinner. They're not that sit down at dinner at night. You get what you want when you want for many different reasons. I mean, I was brought up in the family, 6 o'clock was dinner, and you better be home, washed up, and ready to go. I mean, that was it. But not every family's like that. So it wasn't that priority. Also, it's the types of foods that people eat. Now, as I said, nutrition, nutrition, nutrition. If you don't eat right, are you filling your gas tank up with the proper stuff so the children can grow? So we know that if from birth, if a child is not given proper nutrition, they're not growing the way that they should, it will lead to all sorts of delays and lack of cognition or mental retardation because you're not giving that fuel to that brain that it needs in order to grow, okay? Obese children, we know that they're always being teased by children all the time. And obese children, it's not always their fault. Again, it's the family is a part of this. Now, nurses, what can we do? Well, again, teaching, giving information, getting that referral to dietitian, somebody who can help them in order to eat properly. Now, My Plate is something that they use on the school-age children in school today. And what they do is it's a computer program, it's, a website, and they go on and tell you what you should have. And it really, I mean, sometimes it's sometimes too late when we're finding out these kids aren't getting exactly what they need. I mean, it's easier today not to have all the fruits and vegetables because they're more expensive. And sometimes, the season it's hard to get, right? It's easier sometimes just the bread and the pastas. It's just the cheapest way. And today that's life sometimes. Food provides everything. It provides, it builds your body, repairs it, and it gives all those minerals to those children, and they should be getting proper food groups. And this is something that the school age children are being taught. I mean, there's many other programs, but that's one of them. Nutrition and health, digestive system in the newborn. Well, at birth, children can only tolerate breast milk or iron fortified formula. And sometimes even the formula has to be changed to a non-milk product. There's many tests, the PKU test that we do, looking at the way that the body digests amino acids, etc. So it's something that's looked at even from those first 6 months. Now, in the second 6 months, they say that the intestines is okay to start giving foods. Now, remember, it's still immature. You still are going to see some foods coming through the stool. I mean, ever eat corn? You're going to see corn, right? The next day. I mean, that's like giving a child peas, never had peas. You might see it. Other things that they wouldn't have. So we know that they have the acid to build it down in the stomach. And we know that the introduction of food, it takes a while for the body to get used to it. And we know that we need to monitor that closely. It can cause a lot of gas, a lot of colic, and we don't want to create that. It causes a lot of diarrhea, vomiting, and now you're losing nutrition. So we, with children, don't restrict fat. We need fat for our central nervous system up to about 2 years old, believe it or not. They need the calories. Now, did you all take a nutrition course? And they looked at how many calories per grams of carbohydrates, fats, and proteins. Well, proteins and carbohydrates are 4 calories per gram. Fats is 9 per gram. So you can see that fat is introducing those calories that it does need. So it is part of that nutrition. So we do not take fat away from it. They really do need it. Some children, due to many different reasons, short gut syndrome, or they can't eat properly, or they have a problem with their intestines, etc., they could be sent home on parenteral nutrition, and they do give fats with those parenteral nutrition, and then they give enteral feeds, which does have the fats included, because nutrition, if you can't eat, we're going to give you what you need to get those nutrition that you do. So obesity, I've mentioned it, and it's going up because kids are not outside as much. There's just so much TV on today. I mean, it used to be cartoons only in the morning and on Saturdays, right? Well, now you can turn on Disney Channel 24 hours a day. So they're on, the TV. They're on these electronic devices, right? And that has created childhood obesity in many children. And the problem with being an overweight child, it will go into adulthood. You will have children that are obese, then have high cholesterol, as an adult, have high blood pressure, and even diabetes because of being an overweight child. We look at the body mass indexes here. So a kid who's sick, how do you feed them? Well, kids who are sick don't want to eat. They don't feel good. So what would you do? Well, number one, we know that they're not going to eat well. So let's try to get enough fluids in them. What do they like to drink, right? Are they an apple juice kid? Give them the apple juice that they want. As long as none of this interferes with what medical conditions going on, that's fine. Sometimes you have to look at the type of food that we give according to they have sores in the mouth. I wouldn't give citrus products, right? Or I'd give softer mashed potatoes, things that are macaroni and cheese, softer stuff. Does a kid want to eat by himself? Like, do they want to pick it up and take pieces? They want that independence. All of these things you got to think about if you're feeding a kid who's sick. How can you have them eat? And I think one of the big things about an ill child and feeding them, if they have a fever, treat the fever. Once the fever comes down, that kid is going to be more apt to eat and to drink. Now, this is an interesting question. You'll see it again. 1 tablespoon of food per year of life. The kid is 1 year old. 1 tablespoon of food is all they need. We think they need so much more because as infants, they ate more. We see they're gaining a lot weight. They're getting bigger in that first year, okay? 1 tablespoon of food per year. If they're 2 years old, 2 tablespoons. That is what they call the recommendation. They shouldn't have, apple juice and snacks and sweet things and sodas in between and right before meals. They also even say as infants, they want them to eat the food first at 6 months and then feed them milk because we want them to get the best nutritional stuff that they can. And we don't want to fill their bodies with things that they shouldn't be eating. One of the things with kids that are sick, again, how do they self-soothe? How do they calm themselves, decrease their anxiety, their fears? It's in their mouth. So if you have a child who can't eat for whatever reason, they should be provided a pacifier. Again, it's self-soothing. It's that sucking is a calming for them. Also, pacifiers with a little sugar water. If you give that to a little infant, my son at 1 month old was circumcised with a pacifier with sugar water. And he cried when they put him down and held him down. But once they let go, he was fine. It works as well as morphine. Now, food, drug, food, environment, all of these interactions, things you need to know. And if you don't know and you're in a hospital, call the pharmacist, okay? Sometimes you are giving drugs and you can't give them together, all right? One of the things that comes to mind is giving an IV antibiotic called ceftriaxone. You can't have it in an IV fluid that has Ringer's lactate. That's just, I'm saying it's like a drug type of relationship. There's things you can't put together, so you need to know it. Sometimes you have certain things that can't be in light. There's antibiotics. There's some cardiogenic, big drugs. We have to put foil around bags and tubings and whatnot. And then drug food. I'm going to give you a great example. Many children are on iron, right? Can't give it with milk. And why? Because iron is digested in the stomach. The milk coats the acid of the stomach, and you need that acid to break the iron down so it can be used. What about giving, having ginger and garlic and you're on Coumadin? Anything with a G prolongs bleeding. So we wouldn't be giving those things. So if you're unsure, ask. Drug anything, pharmacies are always there and available for you. So teeth, when do they come in? Well, they say about 6 months, the first one should come. Now, my kids never had teeth. My grandson never had teeth till 13, 15 months old. And then they got 8. You could see them all wanting to be there, but they say the earliest they should come in is at 6 months. When they start coming in, we clean them with a wet washcloth or just water and a toothbrush. And that can really help. One of the things with teeth is even my son had it, called a bottle mouth, where had the bottle with juice. They didn't have sippy cups back there at that time. He's 40 now. And it really decayed his front teeth. So again, I should have protected them better. Thank God today he's got beautiful teeth. There's no problem. But it caused a lot of dentist problems to go into.
That's the same thing with pacifiers too.
See, that's the one conversation they say about pacifiers, that it can affect the teeth. Yes. And what they're saying is you should have the pacifiers out by the time, just like sucking the thumb or the
Yep.
finger, they should stop before their permanent teeth come in. That is what the book says. So that's the new age of thinking. But you're right. It's some of them like, no, there's all sorts of orthodontic things. I mean, but I would just ask my pediatric dentist, because you will get them checked and looking at those teeth. Which one do you recommend? I mean, it's, a preference. Some parents like them, some don't. It's your preference. But children do soothe themselves through their mouths. So remember, when you're feeding your children things high in sugar, that food sits there. You're not brushing your kids after every snack and every meal. So making sure that we do clean those teeth well. They say cheese, milk, vegetables, raw vegetables, they always say, are the best. They really say overcooked because you get all the nutrition in the roughage and it helps with constipation. They say brush after each meal and snack. Well, how many people realistically do that? I mean, that could be 8 times a day. These kids are always snacking, right? Now, we do need a healthy, balanced diet, and it does help with tooth development. But as long as we are brushing their teeth, keeping them clean as we can, after the age of first grade, we should be flossing teeth also. They say you should not have any bottles going to bed with a child. And that's that's like the bottle mouth right there. And that looked like my son, because he would have the bottle in his mouth with apple juice and swing it around, when he was 2 years old. And before I knew it, that's what they look like. So it happened to me. So children, if they're breastfeeding, and this happens a lot. They fall asleep. Now their mouths are full of milk. We should try to clean it with a wet cloth, at least on the younger kids, because the sugar is there and it's going to create, these caries in there, because the sugar ate away the enamel. So before bedtime, absolutely. Okay. And it does leave a clean mouth. So the nighttime, they're not have sugar in there, destroying the teeth. They say fever is not associated with teething. Now, that's always controversial with those who have children. Many times a child has a fever when they are teething. Now, the books say fevers has nothing to do with teeth coming in. You should replace the toothbrush frequently, and especially after they're sick. Even us as adults. I mean, we're taking that dirty toothbrush and using it. We should be changing it, when we're sick. And we should not just put them in hot water. It breaks down bristles, and it should be in an open container. And of course, not sharing toothbrushes is the best. Now, what do kids do all day long? They play, 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 right? It's what they do. It's what they learn. It's that sensoromotor activity that they do. It's learning intellect and figuring things out. So one of the things that we have in the hospital where I work, they had this beautiful playroom upstairs. And those children who weren't had a condition that was infectious to other kids could go up there, especially those that were there for longer terms. So it didn't make the hospital seem so scary. Well, these children would go up there and they would do finger painting and arts and computers, and they would, older kids would, cut things and make things and bring them down for their parents. Remember, those things are really good. Especially play in a hospital. You could also have child life up there, which could help explain maybe new procedures and stuff going on. Again, make sure it is age appropriate. And make sure any of the toys that you pick are age appropriate. And of course, what is their illness? What are they in there for? And this is a really good information. If a child is having problems with breathing and it's like that pre-asthmatic type child, you should not have any stuffed animals for them because it harbors dust and then they can breathe it in. So your infant. So children, infants, what are norms? Well, we know that kids, when they're born, initially you got to figure out, make them sleep at night, not all day long, right? It seems every newborn, what do? They're awake all night long for the first 2 weeks. It's always, and the parents are exhausting. So we try to get that sleep, wake, nap time. Infants will smile at you. Look at them, smile, they will. They can drink from a cup as they get a little bit older and hold it. I've seen, 6 and 8 months old drinking of it. And then there's something called separation anxiety. Well, it's exactly what it says. An infant does not want to be given to another person they don't know. They'll turn around and put their hands out and they want to go back to their mommy or daddy. And let's say you have to put them in daycare. Separation anxiety. There's several stages of this. When a child gets into a hospital, let's say a parent has to go home real quick, take care of something, they can't be there for a little bit. This child initially is going to scream and cry. They're going to cry, cry, cry. And then after crying, they realize, well, that didn't help mommy or daddy come. And then they become very withdrawn. They regress. They could start sucking their finger again, or they could become incontinent if they're potty trained type things. That could happen. And then the third stage is where mommy comes back in. Let's say it took a day to get there or two, and they don't pay attention to mommy. So there is a discussion question on it. It'll be coming up on the 3 stages of separation anxiety, and it's basically what I just said. So as I said, infants are all about oral, right? Sucking brings comfort and relief. We know infants should be held when we fed them. They love that closeness. They love, to feel mommy. And, that kid needs to have that time it needs to suck whatever, right? If they are not able to eat, at least they can suck on something, right? And one of the things infants do that can also help them as they get a little bit older, they can go around and look for toys, and toys can also give them those sort of satisfactions. Motor development, a grasp reflex. Remember I said first, it's that reflex around mommy's hand, right? And then what happens? It's voluntary, where they reach that rattle and they grab it. So that's grasp. Prehension. It's about 5 or 6 months of age where this occurs. Parachute reflex. This is where you turn a kid over to put them down into a crib, and they put their hands and their legs out like they're going to fall. They call it a parachute. And then that little pincer grasp that I talked about earlier, that is well established, a fine pincer grasp by 1 year old. Their emotional development has a lot to do with the parents and the consistency and the way that they deal with these children. So when children are picked up, when they're crying, they are going to have few crying episodes. They're going to be happier children. Infants that are, parents are playing with them and want them to do things and they're not doing it. And if they're not forced to do it, they will accomplish it quicker. You want your kid to turn over, you want them to sit up, and you try to force them, force them, force them. It's just a normal, you want the best for your child. So you try to make them do it. Well, it's not, you should give them that time to do it at their own pace, because every infant does it at a different pace. And as children do things, of course, that encouragement always helps. Sensory stimulation, at birth, they don't see colors, right? So it's those black and white mobiles, that are there. It's, taking the rattle and shaking it. It's looking at them and, talking, touch. All of these things are all things that they do need. A crying baby should be soothed. You can't spoil a child, basically, it's what it's saying. If a kid is crying, soothe them, pick them up, make them feel better. If a kid is hungry and it's not quite time, unless they're extremely overweight, go ahead and feed them, right? You don't want to withhold that. And we know that infants know when they're being held and they're being loved and when they're not. Now, irritable infants. Now, irritable could be done for many different things. It could be that infant that didn't get that trust of Erickson, right? They weren't picked up. They weren't fed. They weren't changed, and they could become that irritable, lethargic. They don't care anymore because nobody came and picked them up. It could be that irritable child that, they are, they're crying, you can't, soothe them no matter what you do. It could be due to stomach problems due to the foods, could be colic going on. Some children also, they shut down. They become this lethargic baby, and they just want to be left alone. They want it not bright. They don't want loud noise. They want it just to be quiet. And these are things, when we see a kid who's super irritable, are things that we can do to help them calm them down when they're like that. So sit with them, don't talk, take away that noise, like I said, have a nice soft voice, snuggle them. Young infants love to be snuggled up in a blanket, gives them comfort, right? And then move slowly. Do not try to get up quick and put them down. Very slowly. And again, a non-nutritive sucking, a pacifier, can help. So I've said all of those things already. Positive sleep patterns. Well, infants, newborns, unless they're breastfed, usually sleep in 4-hour intervals. Breastfed infants tend not to sleep as long. Usually, sometimes it's 2 to 3 hours. They're waking up and they're hungry. It's just part of the nutrition. We know that babies do synchronize their circadian rhythm to the family. Now, I was a night nurse, so during pregnancy, I was awake at night, sleep during the day, and then I became a day nurse. And that was difficult, trying to change that baby's circadian rhythm to sleeping at night, awake during the day. Putting them to sleep on their back. Why? SIDS deaths, right? If they put them on their tummies, they have more chances on SIDS death. When they are asleep and they're waking up, maybe the parent just needs to just touch them, put them to sleep, or maybe give them their pacifier back. Or after a while, the infant learns, find that pacifier themselves, give them their finger. Illness prevention, parent education. We know that health checks need to be done. We do it at 2 weeks, a minimum right after the hospital. 2 months, 4 months, 6 months, we're giving immunizations, and of course, at a year. So all of these things, we as nurses have that ability to give education at that time. If we have children, infants, the one thing that really can disturb a household is an infant with a diaper rash, right? Making sure they change those diapers when they become wet, because if they get a diaper rash, they're going to be awake all night as soon as they urinate, and the baby needs sleep, and so do the parents, okay? And of course, adequate fluid and nutrition. And initially, it's just breastfed and just the formula and a little extra if they have a fever. So, physical ed, an examination. Well, when we have an infant, usually about 5 times a year, they're going to be examined, especially in the first year of life, right? Their hearing is done before they leave. Vision, we're going to be able to know before they leave the hospital as a newborn. Um, in the doctor's office, we have all of those growth grids, right? Those papers which show you the growth. What's their weight? What's their height? We're going to be able to see those things. And then immunizations. We know those things are going to be done on that in the hospital. Hepatitis B is given. Then at 2 months, 4 months, 6 months will be given. And then 1 year, 15 months, there's a whole big grid of them that will going on. And we know any visit with a child, we're going to be asking nutrition. What are they eating? Making sure, especially if we're looking at the weight, they're not gaining enough. Making sure that we're doing good nutritional counseling and any other questions they might have. Now, let's say we find a kid who is not developing the way they should. They're not, their head is falling back. It's not coming up initially. That should be within 3 months. They should have good head neck control. If they're not, what we'll do is what we call early intervention. Early intervention is maybe physical occupational therapy for that child to strengthen that neck so they can be doing what they're supposed to be doing. What if you have a Downs child or a child with cerebral palsy? All of these things are going to need early intervention so these children can be the best that they can. And of course, in the community, there's so much stuff that they can have. Immunizations, I firmly believe in them. I think that immunizations, they're diseases that can be prevented, and it also protects other people. Immunizations and keeping an accurate record of them is very important. You're going to need them for school, et cetera, et cetera. Nutritional counseling, well, we know that we don't give food till 6 months old. And then there's something called, you take a spoon and put it in a baby's mouth with cereal the first time, right? Usually rice cereal. What does that infant do? Ugh, ugh, with the tongue, right? That's called a tongue extrusion reflex. You're like, ugh, they don't like it. Now, once they start learning, and keeping it in, they start eating properly. Between 4 to 6 months, we know their sucking is better, and now at 6 months they can munch up and down, and they can have cereal. They can have some of those baby foods that we're going to eat. So initially, we're going to see the baby gaining 4 to 7 ounces per week for the first 6 months. They double their birth weight in the first 6 months. Some parents are like, well, I'm breastfeeding. Is my baby getting enough fluid? Well, 6 wet diapers per day, they're getting enough fluid. And the baby sleeping for good intervals. Human breast milk, yes, it's the best to have. Not all people are able to do that. So iron fortified formula is what we can use. And we should not be given whole milk till 1 year old, okay? At 1, they don't need formula or breast milk anymore. Oh, some parents, continue it, but whole milk's 1 year. Contraindications to breastfeeding. Galactosemia, you've got all of the sugar coming out, right? Phenylketonuria, which is disease with amino acids, which you can't have milk. HIV positive, chemo, radiation, any illicit drug use. How about you taking a drug for a condition? Well, you're breastfeeding. Can you give it to the child? Doesn't have to be illegal. It can be a, prescribed drug. And of course, anything with an active, untreated TB, you can give that to the child. Prebiotics, probiotics, these are things that we give to keep the GI tract calm. When you bring an infant in who's having diarrhea, they will continue to feed the child, but they're going to be giving them these probiotics. And what it does, it protects the GI tract and it will stop the diarrhea. Safe bottle feeding. Now, we, for breastfeeding, we don't have to check the expirations. We don't have to worry about containers and cleaning and, heating and all of those things. If we need to do bottle, there are certain things we need to watch for. Expiration dates are very important. Following the instructions on how to mix it, store it, and how to give it to the child. How to clean it. Do we use hot water soap? Do we use a dishwasher? What is the best for them? Never ever put a bottle in the microwave, even if it's cold. It's better to put it under hot water and shake it, and get it warm enough because, in the microwave, there's going to be hot spots, right? And you could burn the child's mouth, and we don't want it. And you should never save formula from the last feeding. What's ever gone, they haven't eaten it, throw it out, keep going. Because the bacteria can grow on the sugar in the formula if we do it that way. And the saliva from the mouth is a place where bacteria grows, and it can lead to diarrhea. As I said, we're not going to introduce solid foods until they're 6 months old, and we are going to do one at a time, 4 to 7 days apart. And we're going to look for allergic reactions. It could be vomiting or diarrhea, or it could be rashes. Recommended rice cereal, the first solid food that we give the child. It's more allergenic than all the other foods. You should not put food or the cereal in the bottle with the formula. You should feed it with a spoon. It is recommended. And you should delay orange juice, fish, nuts, strawberries, chocolate, and egg whites. They are found to be highly allergic. My grandson is highly allergic to shell nuts, and he blow up instantly. His lips will on a walnut. Fat intake, we know they need 3 more times calories of fat than adults do. Fat is needed. Again, it's that good brain health, and it's for the calories. Growth development. So by 6 months, the GI tract can tolerate it, can use it. And then it's saying that no child should be getting low-fat diet until they are 2 years old. Feeding 4 to 6 months. Why? Their sucking's more mature, and now they're munching up and down, like I said. Now, weaning. How do you know when they're done with the breast? Well, as I said, at 6 months, you're going to feed the food first, and then you're going to start with the bottle. Whatever milk. Usually they start feeding up on food, and slowly, they'll be off the breast. And if they start biting their nipples as those teeth come in, that is a really good time to slow down. And again, it has to be gradual, so you decrease the supply of milk. So we should use more natural foods, organic foods. We don't want all of those processed stuff given to our child. It doesn't have any nutritional value. As I said, new foods should never be given, well, number one at a time, 4 to 7 days apart, and never introduced if a child is sick. They say at 5 to 6 months, you should be feeding the kid in a cup, like a sippy cup, all right? And you could start some fruit juices. But again, remember, that should be after you fed them already, okay? And then orange juice, you wait up to about a year. And again, there's the other foods to delay, like I said earlier. Rice cereal first, small amounts. Try to put it in the back of the tongue so they don't just push it out. And slowly, you're going to give more and more and more and more. And as I said, one at a time, 4 to 7 days apart. Car safety should be in the back seat, right? Should be rear facing to the age of 2. And then you can turn it around at 30 pounds at age 2. Fall prevention is huge with infants. I can't tell you how many kids rolled off of, beds or changing tables onto floors and rushed into the ER because, they had fallen. So never leave them unattended. Keep them strapped in. Crib rails should be up. If you have stairwells, everything protected. Pools, make sure they can't get out and get in them because it does happen. Making sure that you're safe with the toys, that they're on their developmental level. No small pieces. I mean, I have a 9-year-old grandson who just a month ago had a quarter in his mouth, ended up swallowing it and had to go into for surgery to get it removed. So, and that's a 9-year-old with a quarter. So let's look at all the things that happened the first year. Doubles by 6 months the weight, triples by 1 year. The head and the chest. Now, at birth, we have big heads. We have little chests. By 1 year, they should be about equal. By 6 months old, mommy's, immune system, her blood, her iron is going away. So we'll need to make sure that we're feeding them foods with iron, right? When they're born, they see with each eye. It's called binocularity. By 9 months, they're working together, and that makes it the ability to reach and get things easier. That's the depth perception. By 4 months, they should voluntarily roll over. It's part of the gross motor skills. By 1 year, they can be able to take some independent steps. And those primitive reflex type of things now are going to be all voluntary. It's not going to be a reflex, Palmer. It's going to be all voluntary. I want to go there. I want to do this. And as I said, tooth, you can start. They say starts by 6 months old. And they also will see they'll start biting down and gnawing on stuff. You'll be able to know it. Toddler. Toddler, dive bomb kids, as I call them. Ages 1 to 3. I think it's my favorite group. I love toddlers. They're no longer completely dependent upon you, and they're all about exploration. They still are growing, but it's not as fast. That's why they don't need as much food. And this is Erickson. It's autonomy versus shame and doubt. Let me explain this to you. Toddlers are all about me, mine, I do, and they don't want to share. Okay? They want to figure things out. The shame and doubt is when they're on top of a couch, ready to jump, and mom or dad goes, "No, stop, don't do that." And they don't jump, so they don't know that they could get hurt. Or they're riding their bike down the street and, "Oh no, be careful and don't do that and worry about this and that." These toddlers need the ability to attempt to try to do things. Okay, that's with toddlers. They like the autonomy. They like to try to do. They like to try to dress. They'd like to try to go to the bathroom by themselves, right? This is toddlers. By 2.5 years, their birth weight is quadrupled. Everything is slowing down completely. It's not as fast, all right? We're going to see the head and the trunk is slower. We're going to see those muscles and bones get stronger and get more coordinated. And then we're going to see that potty training, the bowel first, because they can feel it and control it better. Then it's bladder, about 2.5 to 3 years old. Might be earlier, might be later, but that's what the book is, okay? They can see, they can feel, they have to think about what they're doing, what they're feeling. They don't just work automatically. They have to think about it because it's new stuff they're learning. They are, again, trying things out. They're learning. Can they do it? Can they not? And by that experimentation, now they're learning more things. As in that sippy cup, I threw it on the floor. I know mommy's going to come. And that's part of learning and becoming smarter, is taking those Lego blocks. Go, oh, I can line them up, or I can put them 3 in a row and line them up. It's you start with one and then you work with more. Now, speech. Now, they're starting to understand more than they can verbalize. It's frustrating for them, okay? So they're developing, they're understanding, they're listening more. They now are start also, let's say mommy doesn't feel well and is sitting there in a blanket on, you might have that little 2-year-old come over and give you a hug and say, all better, because that's what you would do to that child. So they're starting to mimic those sort of things. And they're going to try to talk to you and tell you what they feel. You're not going to understand a lot of it, but trying to understand it will minimize their frustrations. Screening for autism, they usually don't do it till about 2 years old. We might see some signs before then, but they will not say that diagnosis of autism till 24 months. What we start to see is they're not talking, they're not pointing, they are not gesturing like they would. Their motor development isn't where it should be. They don't like to be around people. You're going to start seeing little things, repetition of things they do over and over and over again. And they still will start screening for autism. So when we talk about toddlers and talking about, guidance, discipline, remember, children, they don't know. They haven't learned yet. Our goal is to teach them and not to punish them. It's to let them know what they're doing. Discipline is telling what they did wrong, but telling them what they could do better, right? If a child is a temper tantrum, the best thing to do is to ignore it unless it will hurt themselves. And we know bad behavior is all about, they have the limit. This is what it is, what you shouldn't do. And if they do it, it's a timeout. 1 minute per year of age. You tell them what they did wrong and tell them the timeout will start when they stop crying or they sit quietly. Always when talking to children, you don't want to be above them. You want to be below them or at least equal to them, okay? When you're above them, you feel like you're threatening. So when we are working with daily care, we're looking at clothes. Children like to, especially in toddlers, they want to take their pants off to go to the potty, right? They like taking off their pull-ups or their diapers to do those sort of things. So make sure it's stuff with elastic bands, things that can get, taken off really easily. Toddlers, they need time, so you're always, bending your routine around there. And remember, sun protection. I mean, I live in South Florida. It's something I do have to remember all the time with the young kids. Toilet independence, we know that they're ready when, they start talking about it, right? We know that it takes a lot of time and energy. They're going to play with those toilet paper rolls and have it unwound everywhere. We know it will happen. But remember, first it's their bowel, anal, then it goes to urethral, which is their bladder of potty training. Caloric needs, only need about 100 calories a day for a toddler. The milk, only 24 ounces, which is actually quite a bit if you think of it. Again, serving size of food, 1 tablespoon of solid food per year of age. If you're feeding them things like hot dogs or whatnot, chop it up in little tiny little fine little pieces so they don't choke. Offer all sorts of foods. They're not going to eat all of it, but keep offering it to them. And they like to eat and do it themselves. Autonomy versus shame and doubt. Me do, me do, me do. They're picky eaters, as I said. They're in that physiologic anorexia. They don't eat a lot of things. They start not liking textures, colors, tastes. Remember, their body's maturing. Have you ever tasted formula, what it tastes like? And they just chomp it down like it's the best thing. Well, as they get older, now they start picking out what they like, all right? Daycare is something that most parents have to do. Most parents have to work, they have to go to school, like all of these things, right? So in daycare, looking at it, something that nurses can say that families should go in there and meet them. Know what the families want for their kids, and if there's any cultural preferences, is it vegetarian? It could be. And when we're telling them about daycare, make sure it's state approved. Injury prevention is huge. I have a brother who pulled a pot off the stove and he had his whole arm was scarred, from burns that he got as a young child. So, making sure that we think about toddlers and preventing injuries, the sockets. I had a wine rack that was low. Of course, he pulled one off, and yes, I lost a bottle of wine. But these are things that, with toddlers, they're curious, they're mobile. I call them children is like a blender with a lid off. You turn them on and they're everywhere all at once. That's a toddler. So consumer education, the federal government says that you should have non-flammable sleepwear, and most stores have those things. Child-proof caps on medicine bottles, they'll get into it. Toddlers will for sure. They like to go in the bathtub and turn it on. Make sure your hot water heater isn't set on maximum. They will burn themselves, okay? Making sure there's smoke, carbon dioxide detectors, and the slats in the infant cribs must be narrow. They used to be wider, and what happened is babies' heads would go through and they would hang themselves on cribs. That's why there's no more bumper pads, too, in those things. And remember, car seats. Toys, play, as I said, it's a thing that these kids work with. They understand it. They become imaginative. That sensor or a motor, touch, feel, play. And it's the way they learn about their environment. It's how they're next to each other, talking to all their own places, but with each other, and they're exploring the world. So there's a lot of different things, with kids, that are there. Now it's just about 10 after, so it's basically time because we had no break today. I do have a Kahoots. It is 30 some odd questions. I'm going to attach it to the announcement so you can go through it too, so that you're not going to miss that, okay? If there are any questions on that Kahoots, please send me a message and I'd love to talk to you. Any questions, comments about tonight?
Are you gonna send us the handouts?
I'm going to send you everything. I
Okay.
send it 2 times. I send it with the initial announcement for the week, which was welcome PNR 204. Now, some of you didn't get that. So you're going to have week 1 recording. And that's going to be all of the handouts again. It's going to be the recording from tonight, and it's also going to be the Kahoots, and it's going to be the PowerPoint also there again. So 2 places you will always see it, okay?
All right, thank you.
You're very welcome. Anybody else?
I was apologizing for being gone late. I'm training a dog, so my daughter dog. That's what I had to take him to the restroom, so I apologize for that.
That's okay. I understand. It's what you call life, isn't it? You know, we try the best we can, and that's what we should be doing, the best we can. So thank you very much for telling me that. Well, it's been a pleasure, everyone. Anything, please talk to me, communicate with me. Remember, discussion question and your introduction discussion are due by Sunday. As I said, you can always do that all together. You don't have to wait to do discussion question to do the peer. I don't mind that. And I've told you why, because you're in the mode there. You just did the research. You can do it all at once. And remember, next week, quiz 1 will be, look at the handout I give you on week 1, and it'll tell you exactly what you need to know. Go to your book, fill it out, and through the PowerPoint, and you guys will do really good on them. It is at the beginning of class, so please be on time. And again, anybody who has accommodations, please send it to me as soon as possible, because I want to make sure you get those accommodations for your quizzes also, okay?
And then she said, for the people that was in Miss Susan's class, like I already did my discussion and introduction and I
It's
replied.
okay. It's okay.
So
It's
just
okay.
start off with discussion 2 and stuff now.
Yes, ma'am. I'm
Okay.
not going to make you redo stuff. No. And
Okay.
you heard it from the boss. I follow the boss.
Okay. I was just rechecking just in case.
No, I understand. And you won't be counted late because that wasn't your fault. Because there was another section open and they closed it, I think, Saturday, if I'm not mistaken. So
Wow.
yes, yeah. What they do is they have all of these students and then for whatever reason,